Joe Biden is maintaining his nationwide lead over President Trump with Latino voters. According to the latest poll by the Pew Research Center, the Democratic nominee is leading President Trump by a 63-29 margin among registered Hispanic voters. Now, that advantage cuts across most demographic lines. However, there is some tightening in the race among Latinos in some key battleground states. For more on this, I want to bring in Jen's Manuel Krogstad. He is in Washington. He's a senior writer and editor for the Pew Research Center, focusing on race, ethnicity, and immigration, particularly within the Latino community. Jens, welcome. Great to have you with us.
Thanks. It's great to be here.
So, Jens, your research shows a shift in many Latino voters' confidence in Biden and Trump to handle key issues from June to October. Can you tell us what you found?
Yeah, our new survey found that Hispanic voters in general have growing confidence in Joe Biden to handle some key issues. We asked about his ability to handle the coronavirus outbreak, to bring the country closer together, to handle foreign policy issues, law enforcement and criminal justice issues, and to make good decisions about economic policy. And in our most recent survey in October, we found that about 2/3 of Latino voters said they had confidence in Joe Biden to handle those issues. And the share who said that was up on all of these issues since June. In particular, in the share who said they were confident in Joe Biden to be able to bring the country closer together. On the other hand, when we asked about Latino voters' confidence in President Donald Trump, to handle these issues, lower shares said so. For example, about a little less than a third of Latino voters said they were confident in President Trump to be able to handle the coronavirus outbreak. And this was slightly down, comparable to the share in June. Latino voters were most confident in President Trump's ability to make good decisions about economic policy. About 44%, a little less than half, said they were confident in Trump on that issue.
All right, so we know that a record 32 million Hispanics are likely eligible to vote in this election, in the 2020 election. Historically, though, Latinos have had a smaller turnout than some other demographics. Did your findings give any clues as to whether this time around Latino voters are excited to cast a ballot? Will they turn out in big numbers in November?
Well, when we asked Latino voters who support Joe Biden why they were voting for him, 59% said their vote was more against Trump, compared to 40% who said their vote was more a vote for Biden. Still, at the same time, Hispanic voters who back Biden say they're sure about their choice, and 86% say they're certain that they'll vote for him. When we're talking about how motivated Latino voters are, only about 57% of Biden supporters among Latinos say they are extremely motivated to vote for him, and that's lower than the 72% of Biden supporters who say so.
That's very interesting. Now, of course, you know, Hispanic voters, Latino voters are not a monolith, and they are sort of different demographics in various states, but they certainly do influence a lot of swing states: Florida, Texas, Arizona, growing, you know, populations in other western and southern states. So let's talk about the biggest battleground state where, you know, Latino voters, specifically Cuban American voters, have had a big say. Let's look at Florida, because, you know, going back to this idea that Latino voters are not a monolith, the Cuban American vote has largely traditionally been Republican. Are you still seeing that trend hold in Florida this time around?
Yeah, in our survey we fielded in August, we found that 58% of Cuban American registered voters said they identified with or leaned toward the Republican Party, and that's compared to 38% who said they identified as Democrats. To put that in perspective, when we look at only non-Cuban Hispanic voters, 65% say they identify as Democratic, and 32% say they identify as Republican.
What are the specific reasons that the Trump campaign seems to be able to make such inroads with Cuban Americans as opposed to other Latino groups?
Well, we know that a top issue for Cuban Latinos, and this is true for Latinos overall, is that they say that one of the top issues is the economy. And so it's possible that some Cubans think that the Republican Party can do a better job on this issue. And we see that Latinos have generally high confidence in Trump on these issues. One distinct policy preference that Cuban Americans have is the importance they place on foreign policy. 76% of Cuban voters said it's important to their vote for president this year. And that's quite a bit higher than the 45% of non-Cuban Hispanics who say this. And then when you take a look at some of the policy positions that Trump has taken since he took office in 2017, he's imposed several sanctions on Cuba, like restrictions on trade, travel, and remittances. And this has reversed the Obama administration's expansion of diplomatic and economic ties. And then by contrast, Joe Biden has said he would largely restore these Obama-era policies.
All right. Well, Jens Manuel Krogstad of Pew Research Center, thank you so much for joining us. We really appreciate your insight.
Thank you very much. It's great to be here.